Hi everyone and welcome to the French Watch Collector. Today on the bench we have a very special watch, Jaeger LeCoultre Master Mariner, and you can see this one. It's not in a really good state. It's missing a couple of parts. We can see that it's missing the crown. It looks very dirty, but it's running. So you can see the model there, the E559. So that's the model number, like I said, the Master Mariner. And the shape of this case is very unfamiliar, and yeah, you can see it's a very strange design, probably from the 70s, kind of a tonal shape with round edges on the side. But the watch actually is quite big for a vintage watch when you put it on a wrist. Yeah, it has a big presence on a wrist. Yeah, so it's a nice model. So let's open it and see what we can find inside. Wow, look at this. This is automatic movement from Jaeger LeCoultre. We see the model number a bit later on. You can see the rotor there, which is turning. You can see the case back as well with the LeCoultre name on it. Let's have a closer look. Yeah. See some mark as well, some from previous watchmakers. Okay, so if you want to buy some vintage watches, you can go on my website where you can find some of the watches that I restored on the channel, and as well a bit some stories. And as well, if you want to service your watch, you will have a section. Here is some watches that I restored on the channel that I'm selling. So if you want to go, you can obviously ask some question as well in the contact details. And here is some information about if you want to service your watch. So if you want, please don't hesitate to contact me on the website, and I will be more than happy to answer to your question. Okay, so let's get back to the watch. You can see this beautiful movement, which is really dirty. So that's what we're gonna do in this video. We're gonna disassemble everything, clean everything, and put it back together. Like, this watch is running, but I guess it's not running very well. And you can see that missing some parts like the crown. So obviously the watch cannot work perfectly. And yeah, it's pretty dirty. So looks like he had a rough life, and you can see the stem is very rusted. So probably some water damage as well in this watch. Try to remove the movement from the case there. There we go. And we can see the dial actually, which is round, which is weird because actually the crystal as well as a tonal shape. So just going to remove the end first. There we go. And now I'm just going to release the dial, unscrewing the dial feed screw there. You can see the stem is so rusted, and you can see some rust as well on the side. If you have any question on the tools as well, I put some description of the tool that I'm using in this video in the description. But yeah, I cannot put everything, so put some comments below if you want to. If you have some question about the tools that I'm using, I will be more than happy to reply as well. Okay, the dial is off. And we can start to disassemble the watch by removing the hour wheel and the cannon pinion with the Presto tool there. Here we go. And we can start to disassemble the rest of the watch now. But first we put it on a Timegrapher, because I managed to wind the watch, and you can see the result is not that bad actually for the state of the movement. Amplitude of around 240. It's losing like 5 seconds a day. The beat error is perfect. And yeah, not that bad, like I said, when you see the state of the movement. So that proves the toughness of this movement from Jaeger LeCoultre. Yeah? Okay, so first we're gonna remove the automatic winding system. Just going to release the rotor by removing this clamp there, which is keeping the rotor in place. Beautiful rotor as well, you see with the GLC sign in the middle. And now we're going to remove with these two screws there the rest of the automatic winding system with the couple of wheels, which is transmitting the power from the rotor to the mainspring, to the barrel. Someone will jump a bit with like the tension that was but didn't go very far. We just jump with the tension that there is in the movement there. Just releasing this strange thing actually. I didn't know what it was first, like on top of the ratchet wheel. This kind of spring with this wheel, like looks like a barrel, yeah, from a gun, yeah. Removing the balance just to make sure I keep it safe during disassembly. It's a bit tight there. There we go. Doesn't want to come. Just, yeah, that's it. I just take it out of. Perfect. You can see there the number, the K8083, which is the number of the caliber, which is an automatic caliber. Like I said, we can see the rotor from Jaeger LeCoultre. And this one is probably dating from, like I said, end of 60s, beginning of 70s, I would say. Just removing the rest of the part there. Use a pallet fork. And you see I just released the power because I could not find where was a click. I managed to find it later on when I disassembled the watch. But yeah, I was unsure was a click, so I just use an oiler to keep the wheel, preventing the wheel from turning. And when I remove the pallet fork, yeah, that's it. I just release the power. Now that the power is off, we can carry on disassembling the watch. Removing this train of wheel bridge here. Couple of parts on top which are different. These two wheels there. Now we have the train of wheel. Beautiful. Okay, and we have this barrel bridge, which is only keeping the barrel in place. You can see some dirt there, some rust as well on the movement. I'm amazed actually with the result we had on the Timegrapher when I see this movement, how dirty it is. The accuracy, and the amplitude, that was not that bad actually for, I don't know when the last time this watch was serviced, but probably a long time ago. And you see yeah, it's very dirty, but yeah, it ran pretty good. Okay, you can see a lot of strange part underneath. Just having a look how it's how everything goes together. When we'll have to put it back together, we'll know after. Okay, removing this intermediate bridge here with the center wheel. Perfect. We have what looks like the crown wheel. Remember the crown wheel always have this reverse threaded screws, but actually it's underneath. It's not on the top of the bridge, which is again a very different design. And now we move on the dial side, where we're going to disassemble the calendar, because this watch obviously we saw at the beginning had a calendar windows with a date. So we're going to remove this plate on top, which is keeping all the parts, and we have a spring there. That's it. So if you did not already subscribe to the channel and you like the video, please click on the like button, on the thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel, because I try to put a video once a week. So if you subscribe, you will get a notification as well if you click on the bell icon. So that would be really appreciated. Okay, so I carry on to remove the different parts from the calendar work. And now we can focus on the keyless work, which is, again, a bit different compared to other watches or other design. We have this plate there, which is keeping a couple of parts in place. We have the minute wheel, which is driving a mechanism on the top there, you see, intermediate wheel. And we have this setting lever spring, which is a weird shape, compared to other parts. Underneath we can find the yoke spring, which is pretty standard there, and the yoke. Here we go. Removing setting lever here. I'm trying to remove the stem, but the stem is stuck inside with the rust. Try by hand. I try with my pliers as well, see if I can remove it, but it doesn't want to come. And actually I broke it with trying removing it, because it was such in by side. So now I just put a drop of WD-40 and I will just leave it and carry on disassemble the rest of the watch. On this bridge here, as you remember, it was this couple of wheels which are like reversing wheels, just to make sure your winding is doing its job in both directions when it's rotating right or left. So this stay together. And underneath again, we have this wheel there with a click. Actually, the click you see there, which could be activated by this kind of pallet that you can see on top, from the top. I will clean all the jewels with a piece of pegwood there, just to remove any dried oil or dry dirt which is on the jewel. You see there, it's quite dirty. That's the one from the barrel assembly. try to remove as much as possible before we put it in a washing machine. And this is just a sub-assembly that was for the automatic winding system. Just you see underneath, a wheel, a click, and a spring. Just going to remove all of that. So all this part we get clean individually, like in a machine. That's the best way to clean the parts. Obviously, you want them to have all disassembled. There we go. Clean the jewels again. The main spring, our assembly. So we're going to open it. Remove everything inside again, just to make sure everything gets clean. Oof, that's dirty inside. You can see it's pretty black. Oh, the barrel arbor just jumped. Didn't go very far. Yeah, it's pretty slippery inside there. A lot of grease. So I remove the main spring, sorry. And there you see, I managed to push it after with some WD-40, it loosened up a bit, and here it is. Like, whoa, that's pretty bad. So we'll have to have a new winding stem. But these parts looks okay. They are not rusted. Like, so that's good. So winding pinion and a clutch. Placing back the beautiful balance assembly on top of the movement there, just to make sure I keep it safe during cleaning. There we go. Just gonna secure it with the screw there. Just going to remove the jewels as well, just to clean them individually. Be sure that in a washing machine they get clean the best we can. So you see, I just did this spring there is a bit different. Just need to do like even less than a quarter of a turn, and you can disengage the spring and it get open. You have the space there to grab the jewel. Use a bit of Rodico there to grab the jewel. Obviously, after I close it again, do the same thing on the other side. Just you see, gentle turn there. There we go. When it's in front of the hole, it gets released. And I can grab the jewel with a bit of Rodico. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna put all the parts in a cleaning basket. And all of this part, like I said, we go into my cleaning machine to make sure every dirt, grease, oil is removed. And we are going to reassemble everything again and oil it the proper way, just to make sure like the watch get the best result at the end in terms of accuracy. Okay, so the cleaning will have 3 stages. We'll start by the cleaning first. We'll have 2 stages of rinsing, and the last one will be the drying. I would like to use this opportunity to tell you that I have a Patreon page where you can support the channel, because this is not my job, so it would be very nice if you can support me if you like the video. I put the video ahead of time as well on Patreon. That's one of the benefits, and as well get some shout outs. So I would like to shout out to David, Shelby, Jan, Christian, Courtney, Alan, Swami, David, Ted, Tony, Michael, Stephen, John, and Tim, and Gregory. Thank you so much, guys, for supporting me. So if you want to join the group, you can go on my Patreon page. You will find the link down below in the description, and you subscribe one of the plan. I will be really, really appreciated if you can support me. So thanks in advance. Okay, so now the parts are clean, rinsed, and fully dry. So we can carry on again and go back to assemble the watch. So first, we'll start by the barrel assembly. You see, it's much cleaner compared to when it was before. It was fully black with the grease. First, I don't put the mainspring. I'll just check if it's rotating freely. That looks good. Checking the end shake. That's good as well. So now I can grease and just put the 3 drops of graphite grease on the wall there. For the automatic winding system, I like to put some graphite grease on the wall. And I will put a new mainspring. And if you notice, this mainspring as well is the opposite way. Normally it's turning clockwise, and this one is turning counterclockwise. So that's not the normal way if you want. It's less common than the clockwise. So yeah, you just need to be careful when you disassemble a watch, which way your mainspring is turning. Okay, so now just closing the barrel there with this tool. That's it. Perfect. and I re-oil the jewels, just putting them back in place there, putting back the spring on top. I treat them in Epilam as well, as I do it every time. And here we go. Both jewels are done, oil and treated. Just checking the balance, how well is doing. Yeah, it looks like it's beating quite good. Checking as well is if the air spring is flat, if it's running flat. And on this one it did. So I did not have any adjustment to do. So now we can focus on reassembling the rest of the movement. So first I will put a couple of grease there, and you see that this sign on the barrel, we see a bit later on what is it for. First I need to put the center wheel with this bridge, goes on the top. There we go. Putting a couple of screws there. Perfect. Now reassembling, remember the crown wheel that was underneath there. So again, greasing and oiling all the points which are in contact metal to metal, just to make sure like all the parts like it gets as smooth as possible, and as well to avoid wear between the parts which are in contact metal to metal. Because if you see, if you have too much wear, you will have to replace the parts. They will be like unusable again. So that's why like on these vintage, especially vintage watches, very important to do your service, because yeah, your watch will still run. The accuracy will still be okay. Maybe like a watch is losing 20 seconds a day, we can see it's not that bad, but actually you will have some parts that get damaged inside. So that's why it's important to do your service. You see the drawing there, and you see these parts. That's pretty handy. It tells you which way you need to put it. Just have to follow the drawing. That's nice. A nice reminder for the watchmaker when they assemble or maintain the watch. And now it's in place. I can put a bridge on top. There we go. Looks good. It's tight. Just putting the 2 screws there. Perfect. Oiling again there. The bridge, just to make sure it's runs smoothly and limiting the wear. There we go. We have this part there which will transmit the power to the crown wheel. Okay, we are going to assemble the parts that were underneath. You remember the train of wheel bridge. There we go. Again, like we did on the other one, oiling everything, finding the right place. Perfect with the screw. And now we can assemble the train of wheel, starting with the ratchet wheel, find the position. Look at this wheel. We are long pivot, just need to make sure I found the right place. It's pretty tricky to do when it's under a bridge like that, when you don't see the jewel. But yeah, just need to go slowly and move it around just ever so slightly until you find the place, and you will see when it does, it will sit down into position. Sometimes it's a bit tricky, but just take your time. There we go. That's it. You see it sit down. Now it's perfectly straight up. Greasing like this wheel and put it in position. There we go. We have all the wheels. So now we can put the bridge on top and trying to align all the wheels into the jewels, which are this pink colored like parts that you can see on top of the bridge. Okay, just pressing ever so slightly, making everything moved. It's not in position yet. So what I like to do sometimes when I feel it's close, just like to tap. And the tap, actually, small vibration will make it move in the right position, and look at it. Up, straight away. That's it. All the wheels are turning, everything is in position. So I can put the screws, and the screws will secure the bridge, and nothing will move after that. So the wheels will stay in position. Perfect. Okay, we move to the dial side, and we're going to assemble the keyless work. So the keyless work again is like this part of the watch that will be used to choose if you want to wind or if you want to change the time, or on some of the watches you will have other function, like for example a quick side date. So basically it's this, it makes a connection with what you do with the crown when you pull on the crown or when you turn the crown. That's what we'll do on this side. And obviously the side we just assembled previously, it's a part of the watch that will do all the timekeeping. So that's it. Now on the keyless work, like I said, we have the yoke there. Going to assemble, greasing all the point there with some heavy grease, because you see a lot of friction, a lot of tension between the parts. So just to make sure again that it runs smoothly and you don't want to wear the part too quickly, you put like a grease with high viscosity. And now you see I'm putting the tension in the system, and actually, the spring is in place, but the yoke, you see, moved. It's not going through the center of the clutch there, so I'm just going to put it back in place. Yep, here we go, that's it. It's in the clutch, perfect. Putting the rest of the wheel. I already lubricated the pivot point of all these wheels before. That's it. Now we're going to put a couple of bridges on top, which keep all the parts in place. And the setting lever spring at the end, that like you see this long arm like a C shape, it's actually a spring. You will see when I'm going to pull on the stem there and the crown, it will act as a spring on the setting lever there. That's the point that I'm lubricating right now. And look at it when I pull up, you see the position, it's changing. So now I'm winding the watch, and I will pull. If I pull, it will transmit the power to the rest of the wheel just to change the time. Now I'm just changing the time. I'm not winding the watch anymore. So that's what's setting like lever and all the parts is doing in a keyless work. Oiling the jewels, just to make sure it runs smoothly, all the pivot point. And now I can put the pallet fork in place with the pallet fork hook on top of it. And we should be able to wind the watch when the pallet fork is in place, because the pallet fork is going to lock the train of wheel with the 2 jewels at the end of the pallet fork. Okay, so now I can wind the watch. The power is staying in the main spring, is blocked by the pallet fork. And we are going to check if the pallet fork is clicking. Yeah, it does. You see left, right. So it means the power is coming to the pallet fork. That's good. I'm oiling the exit stone of the pallet fork, and we should be able to put the balance assembly and see if the movement went to start again. See if it does. Just pulling it so slowly here in place. Just pressing it down. It looks like it's in place, but doesn't start. Oh, just, you see, just a quick impulse, just a small movement, and it just started. Perfect. Put the screw, and we have a runner. Okay, I will just try to clean the dial a tiny bit, but even if I cannot, it's a bit like moisture with moisture. It's like kind of rusted, like it's pitted a bit. So I will just clean it a tiny bit, but I cannot do some magic on a dial. So yeah, that's and you see with I roll on top of it, not swipe, just to make sure it doesn't get damaged too much. It's better with rolling than swiping. I do the same thing on a date disc, just to clean it a tiny bit. And obviously after, when it's clean, be able to put it back on the movement. First, we are going to reassemble the automatic system. Remember, with a few parts that were underneath this bridge here with a wheel, the click. And now I'm putting the spring that will arm this little click there. There we go, perfect. And when it's done, I can put this small bridge on top that will keep all this part in place, which is kept in place only by one screw. Oiling all the pivot point with, you remember, like this strange system that go on top of the barrel assembly there. So with this wheel, and actually it's acting as a click, yeah. You have a spring like in this barrel, in these holes that come and click when the automatic system is winding the watch. See the tension there? I will put the screw and it will go down. There we go. I will put this reversing wheel in place. And before I see I lubricated as well the pivot point. And now I can put the rest of the bridge that I just reassembled previously. We just leave it like this. And obviously we put the rotor at the end because the rotor is going on top of the mechanism and it hides a lot of parts and it's a lot harder to work with the rotor in place. So we just put it at the end when it's actually the movement is in the case. Okay, everything is now in place. We can go back to the other side and assemble the complication, which is a date. And you will see this one is a pretty funky date actually. I did not see first, like when I disassemble the watch, but I like this mechanism. So you have these two wheels with arrows that need to be aligned. Apparently, like when I see, and there I put it the wrong way around. I think, yeah, there we go. That's better. Yeah, that's need to go. These two wheels need to be aligned. Perfect. Now that's a jump. Just to make sure that the date is clicking and staying in place. They jump with the spring. Perfect. We have this big spring that go under this plate, which will harm this strange mechanism, and you will see what this mechanism is for. It's pretty nice actually. Putting the hour wheel with a spring on top, and I can put the date ring. Just remove like and arm all this little spring there system to make the date jump. There we go. And now it's in place. I can put the plate on top. Just need to make sure I align it properly in the holes, and we'll be able to check if the date is working and jumping as it should. Make sure it's aligned first. There we go. Perfect. I think it's aligned. Just gonna arm the spring there. You remember that I assembled. Perfect. And now I can put the screw just to secure this plate in place. The second one, and we'll be able to check if the date function is working on the watch. Okay, so I'm changing the time, and look at the system when it's actually a jump, like a very sudden jump. When it comes, loading, tack, it jumped. And I love the mechanism like with this spring, which go back and load and unload suddenly, and the date is jumping very fast. So that's very, very nice. Most of the old watches, like you will have the date, you see when it's coming close to midnight, it start changing, and it jumped. But on this one, the jump is very sudden. And it's a nice way to do it actually. And look at it when you have it on a watch, changing the time there, and when it comes to midnight, oh, you see it jump, you actually don't see it coming. It jump like instantly. It's very nice. Perfect. So now I can put the hands. So start with the hour hand, put to midnight, just align it to midnight after a day jump. Press it in place. We're going to do the same thing with the minute hand. But first we're going to check, set it back to midnight where the date is jumping. And you will see it jumping very quick again. Look, that's instant jump. Okay. The minute hand that I need to align again to midnight. Perfect. And let's see if when is it jumping. I like to have it jump. Oh, wow, it's just like midnight, 1 minute after midnight. I like to have it jump like 10 minutes before or after midnight, but this one is almost like bang on midnight, so that's good. Okay, so let's focus on the case now and crystal. The crystal is very special. So yeah, I will have to find a way to clean it. And the case as well is very dirty. So I'm going to try to remove as much dirt as I can with this piece of pegwood. And after we put it into the ultrasonic machine, just to finish cleaning it. Same with the crystal. And the case back with this old gasket. Try to clean everything, and all of that will go into the ultrasonic machine. Okay, so I'm going to sand first the crystal with a small grain, I mean like a heavy grain if you want, first with sandpaper, and I will go like with a smaller grain, like a lighter grain a bit later, and I will finish it on the polishing machine just to have an extra shine. There we go. Now I will just go on a polishing machine and just polish the crystal just to have a nice shiny finish on the crystal. So now I will put the movement back in the case. So first I remove the crown and the winding stem and put the case in place, which looks much cleaner than when it came. Just gonna put back the winding stem there. And for this, I need to push this little button there, which is connected to the setting lever. When I press it into position, yeah, now it's in. But you can see it's very long. So put the spacer ring first, and I need to adjust now this winding stem because it's a new one. You remember the old one was fully rusted and broken. So I'm going to cut it to the length just to make sure it's like flush with the case. So I remove the crown. You see I measure with this caliper. Just going to put a mark there on the stem where I need to cut it. With a pair of pliers, just cutting the stem, and when it's cut there we go. Just gonna file the end just to make sure the end is smooth and we can have a nice thread that I can put back in the crown. And we're gonna check how it fits on the case. And you can do that a couple of times just to make sure until you reach the right length when it's flush with the case. And here actually you see the case tube is too long because the crown is not the original crown. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna press the press tube, the crown tube, sorry, just a tiny bit. Press into the case with this tool. Just a tiny bit, no need a lot. There we go, it just went in there. And we see if the now I'm just gonna push like I said and see if it's kind of nice. Yeah, that looks not too bad actually. It's sitting pretty good there. See, when I pull on it, yeah, it's engaged with the mechanism, so that's perfect. Putting some screw there just to hold the ring in place. Putting a new gasket that I'm going to grease. And we are getting pretty close to the end there. Actually, the movement is running, the case is clean. Putting a new gasket on the case back. It's clean case back, you see. There we go, the gasket is in place. I'm going to use now my custom-made tools to close the case back. And if you want more information on these special tools from Eurotech, I will put down a link down below in the description where you can buy these funky tools. They are very nice. So yeah, like I said, there is a special link if you want to buy these tools from Eurotech. Okay, putting the strap, and we should see the end result there. What the watch is doing and how it's behaving. First, we're gonna demagnetize the watch. Put it on a Timegrapher, and you can see that the result is pretty good, yeah. The amplitude is around 270. Bit error is 0, is perfect. And look at this straight line. I'm very happy with the result. It's like bang on around 0. Just you see some tiny drops below 0, but the result is perfect. Very happy with the result on this watch. And like I said, when you wear it, it's a pretty big watch actually for a vintage watch. And I love this shape, this sono shape. A great restoration and a great piece to add to my collection. So I hope you like the video, and I see you next time. Bye bye.